I mean, you ain't heard? I'm like a man smoking at a gas station.
What that mean?
I'm about to blow up.
Hey, what's up, man? This is your boy, Juwan, aka Hub or Hubvito. I don't know what you want to call me. Thank you for tuning in to the Smoking at the Gas Station podcast. This is one of my first episodes, so bear with me. I'm still learning, but I want to interview my boy, one of my mentors, somebody that's real close to me, my boy Adrian, Okezie, aka Ace. I call him Ace, and everybody else does. But a little bit of background about Adrian. He's an entrepreneur. He owns multiple businesses. One in particular is Top Notch Basketball Club, which is big in the Buckhead area in Atlanta, if you're familiar with Atlanta. He's also a head coach at Holy Innocents, a real prestigious private school in Metro Atlanta area. And then also, he started his own company, Runner Report, which is basically a scouting service for amateur sports. He was the first to pick up on a lot of top recruits that are coming up right now. One an example is RJ Barrett. He's one of the first, and he's got a lot of kids coming through there. So pretty dope guy. He's married, has a great family, and he's just happy in life. And so I hope that you learn a lot from this podcast, this first episode. And if you're trying to start a podcast, maybe you learn what not to do from me. I don't know. But thank you for tuning in. I'll let you guys at the end of the podcast. All right, thanks. Hello. Well, man, where you from, man?
From Providence, Rhode Island. Small estate right next to Boston, Mass, Connecticut.
So, what was it like growing up there? 'Cause when I think of Rhode Island, man, I'm like, white people, you know what I'm saying, middle of nowhere.
Nah, Rhode Island is a definitely an interesting place. It's again, it's a combination of immigrants and people from popular cities like Boston, New York City. It's a market where a lot of people go test things out. If something, as far as music or, something you want to test, bring it to Providence. And if it is accepted there, it's a good case study of the Northeast. You see a lot of tours, a lot of artists go on tour, and they always make a stop in Providence. You've just seen, Filet was just out in Providence. Shout out to Filet. He was just out in Providence a couple of days ago. But I remember growing up, Ludacris came to Providence. His first time, his first tour. It's a melting pot. A lot of immigrants, though. Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Eastern Europeans, Nigerians, Africans, Ghanaians. It's a melting pot of people.
So what was the young Adrian like, growing up? What was, let's say, 10 years old? What was the young Adrian?
10-year-old Adrian, I wasn't even in Providence. I was living in Delaware at the time, moving around place to place. But 10-year-old Adrian was very, very independent. I remember 10 years old, I was hustling Dream Team cups. Those were the big commodity as a kid. I would go to McDonald's and just ask the people for the Magic Johnson cup, Larry Bird cup, whatever cup I didn't have. I was hustling Dream Team cups. Selling, pumping gas at gas stations, just asking people for $2 to pump their gas. I was really just kind of out on my own, just doing what I needed to do to get a couple of dollars.
So you always had like a mindset of just the hustle.
Yeah, it was really evident to me at an early age that if you wanted something and your parents couldn't provide it, you had to figure it out. And I had a lot of cousins in the street, but that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to get money like them, and I wanted to buy the things that they had. But I wasn't about that street life. It was too much to risk. But I knew that there was a means to an end, right? You could hustle anything. Right. You could hustle cups. You could hustle timber. You could hustle glass. You don't have to sell drugs.
So you knew at that age that streets wasn't the option.
No, it was very attractive. You know, there's a lot of things that come with it. The young, the bad girls, always like the guys with money. But no, I knew streets weren't an option. Just because I just saw, 3 of my uncles are lifers. 3 of my uncles, my grandfather's only boys, all, have spent 15 to 16 years in prison. So, never knowing them because of that until I was about 17 years old and they had petty crimes too. Petty crimes. It wasn't even like there was kingpins, like just dumb stuff. So I realized that, it wasn't an option.
So, like, were you an only child, or you?
Nah, I grew up with my older brother. He was 4 years older than me, and again, it was good that he wasn't a street dude. He wrestled in high school. He worked. He had a job when he was around 14. He was an inspiration. It was good that he was a straight edge kid, right? Play video games, watch TV and worked. It wasn't like I had an older brother that was doing things that I had to look up to and follow him. I kind of just did my own thing.
And so going into like high school, you still had that same mentality, or, when did the hoop dreams come into play?
Well, when I was 8, I actually signed myself up for a league. There's a team called Holy Name in Providence. I was 8 and I signed up for like the 11U team. I showed up to practice and coach was like, "Yo, what you doing here, little dude?" I remember to this day. It was a little gym on Camp Street. I walked in the gym and me and my mans, he was like 8 too. We were both third graders. And we could hoop, though. We knew that we could ball. We used to play and compete against the kids in the park all the time. And we just showed up. We brought our $15. And we tried out. We actually the youngest 2 kids that made the team that year. We had some hoop legends on that team, like Ubi. Mike Acevedo was on that team. And if you guys are from Providence or anybody listen to this from the tri-state area, Mike Acevedo, Ubi. Tony Robertson wasn't on our team, but he was in the league that we played against. He went to UConn and played for 4 years. He was a beast. But basketball, I really fell in love in 1990, what was that, 92, 90, 91, 90, that first Jordan era. I was always a Charles Barkley fan, so like 93 was really when I felt like, basketball was something I wanted to embrace.
So how old were you then?
93, I was 10 years old. 10 years old.
And so what high school did you go to?
Went to Classical High School. Classical High School is actually celebrating its 125th anniversary this year. One of the most successful high schools in the country, actually. It's a public / entrance-only exam school, which it's pretty cool because you get kids from all different demographic backgrounds as far as income level, but you get a private school education. And when I was going there, it was cool because it was like no dress code. It was super, super liberal. Like you could do anything you wanted as long as you got good grades. Like I remember going to school rocking a do-rag and switching it up 3 or 4 times during the day just because we could. Girls had no dress code. And I want to say like the last year of my high school tenure, we got a new principal. And they started enforcing the dress code because we took it a little too far. Yeah, we took it too far. Like people wearing masks to school, and the teachers, it was a good school. I credit a lot of my intellectual curiosity to Classical High School. Again, kids from all walks of life, but I was able to tap into some minds that, kind of allowed me to expand what I wanted to do.
So what type of student were you?
I was a okay student as far as effort goes. Like I can't close my eyes and think of an assignment I actually completed, but I know I completed everything. I got the job done. You know, I finished high school with like a 3.8, 3.9. But I was a surface level thinker then. You know, I just, you know, if it was a problem, I answer it. If it was a book assignment, I'd read it and then hand it in, and then that was it. There was no digging deep.
So I'm curious to know, like, okay, you just said like 3 of your parents or 3 of your uncles locked up in for life, but then like you finished high school like a 3.8. Like what do you think? Did something click somewhere, or was it like it just came natural to you, or what do you like? How do you think that happens?
Well, my belief system, I just really feel like, you know, I had guidance from my ancestors. You know, like my wife, she really laughs at me all the time, but I always say, like, your DNA is going to work the hardest to get where it needs to go. And so I really feel like I was just blessed by my ancestors and watched over, and there was some type of internal drive that continued to push me and keep me on the right path. And I was able to discern the right and wrong thing. And you know, yeah, I got in trouble, but I wasn't doing anything to where I could risk my freedom.
Right.
You know, I wasn't hanging around the wrong people. And so, yeah, I think it was just ancestral guidance.
So back to high school. What was like your goal? You planned on, what did you want to go to NBA?
I was league me. That was all it was about. You know, I was a Kevin Garnett fan at the time also. And he went straight to the league from high school. And so I thought that I could do it. I really thought I was in the NBA. Like, no question about it. Once I finished high school, it was NBA. As I got closer to my senior year, I really didn't understand the recruiting process at all. Like, you know, the kids nowadays have so many resources. When I was in high school, I remember getting invited to Gmail, one of my old girlfriends. Shout out to Joanna McLean. She's a doctor in Providence right now. She went to Brown. But I remember her sending me a Gmail invite, and you could only get Gmail if you got invited to it. So, you know, Yahoo, there was search engines that just started. And so the kids now can find answers to anything they want. But I remember being in high school, like, you had no idea what recruiting was. You didn't know. If you were nice, they found you. And if you weren't, they didn't. And you had to have some type of a stronghold in the industry to get your name out. So I remember, you know, junior year, summer, I still haven't had any interest. But we were the number 1 team in the state at the time. Traveled to Atlanta for the first time and played against the Atlanta Celtics in Georgia Tech and got smoked and realized, like, oh man, you know, this kid Dwight Howard is, you know, 5 years younger than you, and he's destroying everybody in his path, right? And so, but I still didn't think my hoop dreams were going to be over as fast as they were, you know.
So what was that? What was that like not getting recruited, or did you feel like it's gonna happen, or did you feel like, were you like sad about it? What was the mindset about it?
Nah, because no one was really like, again, today you see all these kids that put up their interests and offers with pictures and logos. Like, there was no one around me doing that. You know, I never knew anybody that got an offer. Like, I never knew anyone that went to the NBA at that time. You know, Sebastian Telfair was the closest kid I knew. You know, he was 2.5 years younger than me and played AAU at a high level, and he was all over the place. But it was either league or nothing. Like, we didn't know about the recruiting process. You know, I went to PC and URI games all the time. I just thought that I could play at that level. So I wasn't sad. It was just like, oh, well, you know, what's the next move? You know,
next move as far as what, just life period? Or
just life, right? I said, you know, again, I really thought I was going to the league. And my girlfriend, again, at the time was like, yo, are you going to apply to any colleges? It's like, nah, I'm going to the league. What you mean college? So she brought me down, and she's a good woman. She brought me downstairs to the college counselor in my senior year. It was like, yo, this is college counseling. Like, you need to do these things. So I was looking through all the books and seen like Bethune-Cookman and all these schools, and I just applied to like 7 different colleges, not even knowing what I wanted to do at the time. And I got into Springfield College, and that I only went to Springfield College because it was the birthplace of basketball. You know, I didn't look into the academic side. When I got there, it was pretty cool. Again, I just felt like, you know, my path from classical to Springfield. And then when I got to Springfield, I decided that I wanted to transfer. And then that's when Morehouse College in Atlanta came into the picture.
So how long were you at Springfield?
2 years.
2 years. And like the mindset going there was just like, what?
Get money, you know, going to school. I'm a work on campus.
Yeah.
I'm a sell sneakers. You know, I was flipping Jordans at the time.
So you weren't hooping there or nothing like that?
Nah, I was going to hoop.
Yeah.
And I got there freshman year. And they talking about getting up in the morning and running miles. And I'm like, yo, we don't run. Like, I never ran a mile in my life. Like, I was in the best shape, but but it's funny, I look back, and to this day, I probably only ran like a mile like 6 times. And like, so when they said that, I didn't go to any preseason training, so I tried to pop into the regular season. Like, you know, I was working on my grades, blah, blah, blah. So I get there, I'm working out, up and down the court, ask coach for a drink. He says no, and I quit. And it was just real, like, again, I had no guidance. No real guidance. And so if I had someone that was like, yo, you know, you can't just quit. But I did everything on my own. So he's like, I was like, Coach, I'm tired. Can I get a drink? And he just straight up said no. And I was like, all right, I'm out. And I left, and that was the end of my college career.
And nobody came looking for you, nothing like that? He ain't come?
No. And I learned a valuable lesson from that. It was, you know, give a kid a drink. Yeah. Give a kid a drink when he asks. That's one thing I had. Like, and so to this day, if any kid asks me, I'm like, sure, go ahead, have a drink. Because you never want to lose a kid over some water.
All right.
And then also, you know, not fold on your principles. Because I was one of his top recruits, but he didn't fold. He didn't come coddle me and say, hey, this is what you need to be doing. So I learned a lot from that interaction. And then we spoke maybe 3 or 4 weeks later. Yeah. And I stuck to my decision. He told me I had to work my way up from they had a JV squad, which was weird. Yeah. Now that I think back, but they had a feeder team, you know, for younger kids, like freshmen. And I was like, nah, I'm good. So I just focused on, you know, getting a 4.0. Yeah. And that's what I did for my next 2 years.
So Springfield is where?
Massachusetts.
How far is that from Rhode Island?
2.5 hours.
Did you go back home a lot? Or?
Nah. I went home maybe once a month, maybe. Yeah.
And so you ended up going to Morehouse. For what? Like, why?
My uncle, Butch Lewis, who was a famous boxing promoter, called me out of the blue. I haven't talked to him maybe 10 years before. And he told me he heard that I was doing well in school and, you know, my grades were good and I had a good head on my shoulders. And he, you know, thought that I should think about going to Morehouse where his son went to. And I was just like, whatever. And then another week passed and Spike Lee was actually on campus. And so I went to a Spike Lee. And I don't really mess with Spike like that. You know, he's my Morehouse brother, but, you know, he's got a questionable approach to his cinema. You know, I appreciate what he's done for the community, but there's some things that, you know, again, I don't agree with him all the way, but, you know, he's a brother, so I rock with him. But Spike was on campus giving a presentation, and I just decided to go. And I asked a couple questions of Spike during the speech. I asked him what he thought about Morehouse, and he was surprised because none of the Springfield College kids even knew what that school was. Yeah. And he pulled me to the side at the end, and he was like, asking me, what I knew about Morehouse, and I told him who my uncle was, and he was good friends with him, and he kind of co-signed with me going. He said it would be a great opportunity for me, and so I listened to Spike, and I transferred like the next semester. I was out. I bought a car for $300, packed it up, got my mom in the car, bought the Straight Outta Cashville album, Young Buck. I didn't buy it. I got it from my man Doctor. My man Doc, his name is really Doctor. He was the king of the bootlegs back then, so he gave me Straight Outta Cashville. I just rocked that, drove straight to Atlanta.
The whole way there.
Yeah.
And so the whole way there, what you thinking? Like, you thinking like, I'm about to tear the campus up, I'm about to like be a millionaire? What's the like mindset?
Mindset was I just bought like 50 T-shirts and I was like, I got to move these shirts. I had, I don't remember, in 2003, 2004, I had the Tupac spitting at the camera, iron onto the shirt. I had like 50 of them. I got from the Mexican up my block. He sold them to me for like $5 a piece. So I was going to flip them for 20. So I had to get rid of the shirts. But I was really just focused on new opportunity, man. And, my uncle always told me like, Atlanta's got 5 million people, blah, blah, blah. You could do what you wanted. And so my goal at that time was to pursue a career in finance. I wanted the Wall Street lifestyle. I wanted, high risk, high return. That's what I was looking forward to.
So, like, where did that come from? That you saw Wall Street or something?
No, I should just read the Wall Street Journal. I was always interested in finding the inefficiency of the market. Like, how can I take something and sell it for more? I was always interested in that. And so, like, when I realized, like, people were out there selling, tons of coffee beans, making $1 million off coffee or pig bellies or corn, I was just so fascinated by, like, the amount of hustle that goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
So I used to just read the Wall Street Journal, and I always wanted to be a trader. I wanted to trade. I wanted to do sales and trading. I wanted to yell at interns and tell them to go get me a fucking coffee. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I wanted to do. And so I pursued that when I was at Morehouse. My sophomore year, I got an internship. Actually, my junior year, I got an internship at UBS Investment Bank and experienced that trading lifestyle and really enjoyed it. But I didn't want to live in Connecticut. I wanted to stay in the South.
And so you at Morehouse, you get there. What was it like? Was it like what Spike talked about? Was it like how you thought it would be? Or that's your first time going to Atlanta? Or second time?
Second time.
Yeah, second time.
Yeah. Nah, Morehouse was some bullshit. You know what I mean? And anybody that went to Morehouse, you know how I feel when I say that. But again, it was a test. Morehouse was not a hand-holding institution. You had to fight for what you wanted. You had to execute and get what you needed at any given time. It was always a hurdle for you to test your tenacity. And so I learned a lot about that, right? If your food card don't work and your financial aid didn't come in, you got to go sit and politic with the people in the office. Like, trust me, people know. It was a fight. It was an upgoing battle as far as coordination. But Morehouse was a great place because it introduced me to people that were like me but different. I never was in a place where there were black kids from all over the globe with the same focus but different eyes, if that makes sense. There's kids from super rich households. There was kids from Cali. There was kids from Ghana. There's kids from all over the place, all wanting to become a Morehouse man, but they were all different. That's what I really liked about the school.
So what's your definition of a Morehouse man? Because
I don't know. I don't fuck with Morehouse, man.
Because like
now,
like when I come to Atlanta, like when I used to be in high school and stuff, I used to think of Atlanta as like the place to come. Like we all used to look at Atlanta like, yo, we saw Stump the Yard, we saw what other movie was Drumline. Like we thought it was like this is where we need to be. But like when I get here, people like, nah, it's not like that at all. So you say you don't really mess with Morehouse like that.
Nah, because Morehouse don't mess with me. And I get it. Like, I haven't done anything for them to really want to mess with me. Yeah. You know, they always put their most accomplished alum, right? And so I get it. I'm low on the totem pole. But at the same time, you know, also I didn't pay them back their bread, so I wouldn't mess with me either. Like, you ain't getting your bread. I still owe them like $3,500. Shut up.
You got some books or something?
Nah, I got a grant, or whatever, not a Pell Grant. I just got some financial aid. Yeah. You know, you get the refund check cashed out, bought some Peli. Like, I was wild in college. You know, you just get the refund check and you just flow. I didn't even need the money. I applied for like 4 loans. And I was flexing, got some ice, you know, and now I got to pay it back. I ain't giving them their money back. They're going to have to come find me.
So, man, you graduated, man. You graduated. What's next? Like, you still Wall Street dreams?
I graduated. No, I decided to end my Wall Street dreams right after my internship and decided that I wanted to do commercial real estate.
So why the switch?
Because I was cold.
Yeah.
It's cold in Connecticut, and I didn't want to have to be at work at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
When it was dark, and leave at like 6 p.m. when it was dark.
So
that was a no for me. I didn't, and cold. It was gonna be dark and cold.
Yeah.
So
how old were you around this time? You like
22, 21.
Yeah,
I was old because when I transferred, I lost a year of credits because it just didn't transfer over to Morehouse certain classes. So. I started Morehouse at 20. And so around 22 was my first internship. I graduated at 23. Yeah.
And so you switched to commercial real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What was that about? You just...
It's funny because I was reading a Trump book. Shout out to Donald Trump, too.
You got to edit that out, man.
Yeah, Trump, you know. Nobody would admit this, but Trump was very inspirational to people in the world of finance and marketing. You know, again, I don't mess with Trump either, but like I was listening to Jay-Z song the other day and he dropped I'm in the Trump International, ask for me, I ain't never there, I'm everywhere, you ain't never scared. Like people were shouting out Trump, like
hip hop did embrace him.
You know, they did, right? Yeah. But you dig deeper, you find out that he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But he still won the presidency, so he did something right. He knew who his market was. But Donald Trump, I read The Art of the Deal. I read that book and decided that commercial real estate was going to be what was going to take me from one income bracket to the next. And so I went to a forum, Cushman and Wakefield, and CBRE was there. Asked a couple questions and followed up with some gentleman by the name of John O'Neill. Shout out to John. He's now head of the office in Atlanta. At the time, he was just an office tenant representative. So over the past 10 years, he put himself at the forefront of the industry. So I came in and interned with John O'Neill and Chris White, who's also a big-time tech tenant rep right now. Just made like $5 million last year, which is crazy. But Chris White and John O'Neill kind of really taught me the ropes of commercial real estate. And so I did that for 4 or 5 years. And then decided, 2007, 2008 was when I graduated. And then that's when the whole market just went up in flames.
Yeah.
And so I dodged the bullet with finance, because Wall Street collapsed the year before that. And then the next bullet, it was inevitable. Right. And so I got hit with that one during the apartment business. And, I couldn't not get paid and work. So I had to leave.
So what was like after you graduated? Well, 2 things. Like, what gave you the mindset to even just navigate like that? To go network, to go to the forum. It's just like,
yeah, it's just that's what I did. I don't know.
Yeah. So like, what's the underlying like motivation? Was it still like I'm gonna get money? Was it like what was it?
Well, you gotta understand, it's not even about money. It's like, yo, my whole motivation was, how do I get my mom a car? You know what I mean? Like, I grew up in a house with no furniture. How do I at least be able to help my mom out without feeling the pain? Right? And I got able-minded and able-bodied, and so I just never, I always felt like I just had to do something. So like every day, like now, I got to get. I told myself all the time, I got to get back in my mindset. I'm still, my wife and my kids and my family have really driven me to always want to be there. But sometimes I got to just snap back into go mode and say, hey, look, your family's not going to be able to do what they do if you just kind of, chilling with them all the time. But I built my lifestyle so I could have that freedom to be with them as much as I can.
And so after the real estate crash, did you panic? You was nervous?
Nah, I bought a crib actually. Obama had the $8,000 first time home ownership. Jones. So I said, let me go get this loan, this mortgage, get this 8 bands. I got a job at Phillips Arena selling courtside seats and glass seats and suites. So I knew I still wanted to do something basketball. And then I also was getting started with my camp business and Top Notch Basketball Club.
And so at what point did you say, yeah, I want to do my own thing? Kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. Like, was that your passion as far as like selling stuff, or like?
Yeah, I'm actually getting back into it too, man. Like, I always wanted to sell something. I don't know what it is. So it's real estate. It was stocks and bonds. Now it's basketball. And so, I knew that I didn't have any responsibilities. And so I knew that I could take risk, and I knew that I was going to at least be able to pay $700 a month. Like, I knew the bare minimum. What I didn't know is I was going to fall in love. You know what I mean? Like, right away. And so...
talk about that. You fell in love. Like, what age was this?
I met my wife at... I want to say I met my wife right before I left Cushman & Wake. Was it Cushman & Wakefield? I started dating her. So when LeBron leave Miami, because I left... He picked Miami July 6th.
2010 or something?
July 6, 2010. Because I met my wife in 2009 in July. So the day LeBron made his decision to leave Cleveland, I timed it and left Cushman Wakefield at the same time.
So you trying to be LeBron?
I just said, I'm going to tell the boss, I left July 6th. I remember it was, maybe it's July 5th, but I left the same time LeBron left. It's like, man, I'm out.
So what, you 25 then, or?
Yeah, 25. Turned 26 in September.
And then you ended up meeting your wife around that time.
What'd you say?
You end up meeting your wife?
I met my wife. No, I met my wife before I left.
Oh.
So I was worried that she was like, yo, you ain't got no job. You just going to leave your work. And I was getting paid well. But again, money is not everything that drives me. It's the ability to do things.
Right.
So if you could do things and be financially stable, the doing is more than actually the money. Like, I don't got no money in my pocket right now. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like this money is the least of my concerns. Like, my wife gets mad that sometimes I don't even know when my balance is low. Like, I don't care. I don't look at my money. Like, all I know is if I keep going, nothing matters. And
so, do you ever find yourself on the bad end of that? Like, can it be a bad thing to have that mindset? As far as, because I'm the same way too sometimes. I'm just moving, you know what I'm saying? I look at my balance, it might be in the negatives or something, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that happen to you, or is it like...
Nah, it's happened. But again, I think there's so many things that are so much more important.
Yeah.
And so if you and I refer to the Bible as a book of literature.
Yeah.
And so in the Bible, it mentions, and I can't quote who said it, but I know it came from the Bible.
Yeah.
It says, look at the birds, you know, and the birds get up every day and they ain't worried about, they just know that there's going to be food on the branch for them. They know there's going to be a bug for them to eat. You know, if you know that you're going to have food, you're going to have the energy, that's all that should matter. Now, you also look at the ant, and it's in the Bible too. Is look at the ant. It gets up first thing in the morning. If it feels that a morsel is on the ground, they're going after it. There's no questions. Like, I could drop a strawberry on the ground, and I could promise you in 4 minutes flat, there's going to be like 12 ants over there.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
So I look at everything like a morsel.
Yeah.
And if I get there first, I know I'm going to be there.
Right.
You know, and so that's how I approach this basketball thing, you know. And if you're good at what you do, that's even better, right? If the ants go to the strawberry and can't pick it up, they got to go back and they'll bring their whole team, and then they get it, right? But if you can snatch it on your own, why not?
So you selling stuff? You at Phillips Arena. You know what I'm saying? You found a girl. You still, the motivation is what? It's like, still trying to get my mom's right. I'm still to this day.
Yeah. I thought that once I got a little bit of bread, I give her a little bit and she'd be fine. But nah, she's got an insatiable thirst. Yeah. I got to make sure her hair's nice now. Not just the car. I got to make sure her hair's nice. She got nice clothes, and I got nephews, and I got a nephew on the way, and I got a niece. So I just, you know, I'm just glad that I could help out my family. You know, that's the main motivation. Like, I always want to be the one where, when I'm older, everyone comes to my house for dinner. You know, I want to make sure I could break bread with everybody. I want to be the uncle or the grandfather or the dad, the best. I want to be the best one, and not just because I can help them out financially. I can recommend them books. I can tell them stories. I can, you know, educate them, and teach them the ropes and how to be a young man in this world, a young woman in this world.
So after you left Phillips Arena, or did you leave Phillips Arena, or what happened there? I
actually got fired on the low. I don't remember. This dude that used to work there, this dude looked like he slept in a tanning bed, walked hella straight. He's over at I think he's with Seattle Seahawks now. He was my manager. He stole my book too. I'll find you. I want my book. Ryan. I don't know his last name. Ryan Barefoot, actually. Look him up, man. Whoever's listening to this, find out where Ryan Barefoot is and tell him I want my book back. But Ryan Barefoot was my manager at Phillips Arena. He was a good salesperson. But again, they brought me on because I had a nice little Rolodex of contacts, and without any experience in ticket sales, they brought me right into their premium department, which has never been done before. So first couple deals I did a big deal, sold a suite to a water chemical company. But then when the Hawks sold the Thrashers, not the Hawks, when the Spirit Group, that's what they were called, the Spirit Group sold the Thrashers, they had to downsize, and I was a victim of maybe the third cut. I was only there for about 8 months, and that's where I got the name Courtside Ace, because I was selling courtside tickets. Yeah. And it was good, you know, but I realized I didn't like the sports industry from a sales perspective. Yeah, why not? It's just different. Yeah. You're selling a product that expires.
Expires like what? Like, explain that.
So, you know, you got courtside seat. Yeah. You got a 48 game season, right? And if you don't sell that seat for that game, you lose revenue. You know, as opposed to if you're selling, again, well, there's always the cost of money, but if you're selling real estate, you got 30 days to sell it at least.
Yeah.
But every day it's like, I got to sell these seats. They're available unless I sell it to a season ticket holder. But then you only got like 2 months in between seasons to sell the season. So it was inventory that had to be sold all the time to prima donnas. It's just
did you find yourself like not able to be yourself, or like when selling, or catering to other people when you just like really didn't care?
Oh, nah, that was probably the reason why I wasn't as successful, because I was myself all the time.
Yeah.
And, like they wanted me to go to games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to a game.
Yeah.
I was just in this arena. No. You think I'm going to work from 9 to 5 and then go and just chill? Just walk around the arena and talk to my customers? No. And so, like, that was one thing. But no, it was a great, shout out to Phillips Arena and all the new owners now. It's funny, like, all my friends are owners now. And before, they were all the people I was trying to sell courtside seats to. And now they got their seats. But time is definitely an interesting thing. Like one of the owners there now is a gentleman by the name of Mitt Shaw, who was the guy I was trying to sell a courtside box to. And then he's just like, man, I'm just buying the Hawks. Yeah. It's just so it's fun. It's fun. It was a fun business.
So, getting closer to where we at now, you get fired. Was it any depression? Was it just like on to the next? Like,
nah, it was never that. I was no depression. What did I do after that? I just went all in basketball.
Yeah.
I was putting together a lot of my plans and executing.
So you didn't plan on getting another 9 to 5?
Nah, I didn't work again until I got married.
Yeah.
For like 5 months.
And so you got married after you got fired?
Yeah. Yep.
And what made you want to get married? It was just like...
I was done. Jersey was retired.
What age was that? Like 20 what?
20. I got married at 29. I decided at 27 that I was going to get married. I proposed when I was 28.
And so, how's that? That's like, is it all you thought it would be, or?
Yeah, marriage is an interesting concept, especially in the United States. But I really just wanted to start a family. That's what I really wanted to do. And so, that's the first step.
Right.
You can't, that I've always learned. I've never met anyone that has not decided that getting married first to start a family was not the thing to do. Mm-hmm. I think that's because people will get a kid first and then get married, but I just felt like, or get a kid first and just stay together. Yeah. But I wanted my wife to be, mentally prepared, right? What type of woman, how many questions in the back of a woman's mind who is pregnant to a dude that tells her they love her all the time, but they haven't insured her that you're going to be there forever. Now, marriage doesn't ensure that, right? We could break the partnership, but, while my wife is pregnant, I don't want those thoughts circling in her, everything that goes on in the wife's mind goes on in the kid's mind, and it's all connected, right? So I wanted her to be so stress-free. Like, that's a major stress, right? Yeah. Just thinking that the man's going to just leave, not knowing if it's what's going to be. So that's the first step. And I was married for 4 years before our first child, so that was major for me.
So is that you think getting married help you, it gave you extra fire, or was that like motivate you a little bit more, or did it slow you down and made you look at stuff different? Because I'm at the position sometimes now where it's like, I don't got time for a relationship, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like trying to move, figure stuff out.
Yeah, no, I think that I think marriage helped because again, you got a whole nother person that you have to commit everything to. But at the same time, it puts everything in perspective where you're like, hey, like I don't like people anyway. So it's not like I got to slow down and hang out with friends. I don't hang out with friends, right? I just don't. Like, it's weird to me. I did it for so long, you know what I mean? Like, I'm hanging with friends since I was 9 years old. 9 until I'm 25. I'm going to do the math. That's 16 years of hanging with friends. Like, that's old. Like, I've been drinking since I was 17. Like, it's just crazy. Like, there's nothing, nothing else does anything for me. Like, going out with your boys, like, yo, that's crazy. Like, you're a grown man. Like, I can see if you're going out to celebrate a moment, or you're going out to watch a big game, maybe, or but like as a married man, there's no reason to go hang out unless you're really just trying to find another shorty.
Yeah. For real, though. You
know what I mean? Like, it disqualifies me from everything. Like, yo, if I go out, I'm going to be fresh and I'm going to just be tempted to holler. Like, and my wife knows that. I'm like, yo, babe, I'm not going out. I'm not trying to holler. And if somebody tries to holler at me, it's like, I got to just be like, no. Yeah. Like, so that's the catch-22 for me. Like, I'm gonna go out, post up with my boys that are all single. Shorty's gonna come holler at me, and I'm gonna be sitting there and be like, nah, I'm with them. She gonna be thinking like, yo, he's with the dudes, and I'm gonna be like, nah, I'm not with the dudes. I'm kind of married, and she gonna be like, why you here in the club then? Yeah. Like, it don't make sense.
It don't make sense. You're right.
So I just love being with. Like, the good thing is I love being with my wife all the time. Yeah. I love being with my kids all the time. Like, I wouldn't trade anything to not be with them. You know what I mean? Like, and it's hard. Like, people, now some days, like, my wife gets on my nerves and I'm like, yo, leave me alone. But, like, that's probably for, like, an hour. Yeah. Some dudes I know, like, yo, I need 2 weeks off. You should see that coming from the beginning.
Right. And so going back, finish wrapping up, man. So you're fired, you're married. At what point do you, go into business for yourself? Or you just, you start really on you always been an entrepreneur, but like, what point did you just really like go all in, like bet on yourself?
Shit, since I was 9. So really, like, when I look I just found a picture of me when I was 9 years old, and it was when I signed up for the YMCA on my own, and I have a blue bandana on. I don't think I was crippin', but I had a blue bandana just because that was the only bandana in the house, and I wanted to rock a bandana. But I had it tied backwards, like Tupac, like with the knot in the front, in my ID picture at the YMCA at 10. And it was the dopest picture because I'm wearing a Chris Webber jersey with the blue bandana. But, like, nothing about me. Like, when I see that picture, it always reminds me, like, yo, you really just been doing everything, like, whatever you wanted. And that's a good thing. Like, I feel like I'm going to be a bad parent because I want to be there all the time. And I felt like I was able to maneuver so much because I had zero guidance other than don't get in trouble, don't do drugs, and be home by, like, 11. Like, I remember I used to sleep over at my friend's house without even letting my mom know at like 12. I don't think I could ever do that with my kid, but it helped so much because I just didn't do anything wrong.
Crazy,
Like, I had no restrictions. Like, I remember being 16, 17, sleeping over my girlfriend's house for the weekend, going home, just grabbing some clothes, leaving, like, no questions asked. And so, again, that freedom helped me. But it also could have derailed me. I see a lot of people that have the same freedom that are in fucked up situations. Like, I think it's going to help with my parenting. I hope it helps. I'm a little overprotective. Like, my daughter still never slept over at anybody's house ever, which is probably not going to happen. It's just my daughter. And the same thing, my son, like, I go home in the middle of the day just to check on the nanny. Like, I don't really trust the nanny like that.
Right.
So, you know, but maybe that's going to work out for him. He's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, so, right now you got your top-notch basketball club. How long you been doing that?
Year 10.
10 years.
9 years.
9 years.
Roll out to 10.
And then you got, you started Running Report, 3 years ago?
Yeah, Running Report 9, Running Report 7. RJ Barrett was, 7th grade? So 7th, but he reclassed up. So let's go 7th, 8th, 9th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. 5 years.
Yeah.
But 3 years of events.
And then you got Holy Innocents, basketball. What else? Am I missing something?
No, that's it. That's all I got going on. A couple other things in the works, different industries, really getting into ammunition. You know, guns are a hot topic right now, but, you know, it's about to be a commodity too. You know, ammunition's about to be like money. We got bullets, you know, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But I know a couple manufacturers that have some opportunity. But yeah, man, again, finding inefficiencies in the market, the things that are going to become very, very scarce. People are going to pay money for it.
Right.
And if it's completely legal, there's nothing wrong with it.
All right, man. Last thing. If you can say anything to the 21-year-old Adrian, what would you say?
Take off that 5XT. Nah, my 5X was crazy now. But 21-year-old Adrian, I would tell him to be a little more reflective. And be consistent.
When you say reflective, what you mean?
You know, like after a week's worth of activities, you should sit back and see what those activities have created for you. Did they create more opportunity? Did they connect you to more people? Or did they take away from opportunity or pull you apart from different people? I think your activities, again, all your activities sum up to what your life is. And if you're more reflective on a weekly basis and you look back and see if those activities were worth your time, then you can map out your next week. I would say live week by week. Not as far as money goes, but again, activities. Check in week by week. Don't make it a New Year's resolution. A week. Every week is a new year.
So self-assess, basically.
Always. And not in an evaluative purpose. Just like, look, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what did I do? Shit, I just chilled all day.
Right.
I can't do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Right.
I got to build. And so that's all I would tell. Because, again, I could be 10 years ahead right now if I looked at everything as a weekly basis since 21. So if you want to get ahead, celebrate every year, every week.
Yeah. All right, man. I just want to say thank you, man. You're my first guest on here, man. You know, I'm just trying to figure it out. So, man, thank you for everything you're doing, man.
Yeah,
really
what's this called? Smoking at the gas station.
Smoking at the gas station. Man.
I was selling pumping at the gas station.
Okay. Yeah,
so yeah, shout out to smoking at the gas station. I'm a little too old to blow up. But,
no, you just getting started, man. Just getting started.
Hey, thank you, Hub.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man. Yo, so that's it, man. That was my boy Ace. I appreciate him stepping on the podcast and dropping a few jewels. One thing that stood out to me was when I asked him, what would he tell his 21-year-old self? And he said to be reflective. And that's what I'll leave you with this week. Be reflective over each day. Don't just wait until beginning of the year or some special time, your birthday, to really reflect over every 24 hours. See what you can do better in the next 24 hours. So that's it. Thank you for tuning in to Smoking at the Gas Station. I really appreciate you. I'll see you next week. Thanks.